Hi everybody, welcome to the 8th episode of The Name Sisters. I'm Alexia May, and today we have most of the Name Sisters. We were going to be a full cast, but Megan accidentally hurt her foot, so our hearts are with her with that. But Elena, Amelia, Rebe, and Ren is here, so it's really exciting. Hashtag, that's the word I always use. And so this month we are going to be talking about none other than Irish names. Are you surprised? No, because it's the month of St. Paddy's Day. And Irish names are so well loved and so well liked. A lot of names from Ireland that come over to the States are anglicized. So what would be spelled one way in Ireland is spelled differently here in the States, and most of the time it's spelled more phonetically. So we won't get into all of the super duper traditional Irish names. We're just going to do our favoritely Irish named people. Our favoritely named Irish people. So we each have one, and then we'll throw a couple in there that we really like for some honorable mentions. And to kick us off is Ren.
Well, I don't know about anyone else, but I definitely had a little trouble finding Irish people that kind of were like inspiring to me or like caught my eye. But one person that did was Jamie Doran, and believe it or not, I didn't know he was Irish until I went looking, and then after that I had to like look up interviews about him to see, because when he acts he doesn't have an accent, but he definitely, if you watch interviews, he has a very strong accent, and it's actually quite surprising that someone who has such a strong accent as does he, when he acts, has no accent at all. But I just think he's such an incredible actor. You may have seen him in the movie 50 Shades of Grey, which I went and saw with some of my best friends over Valentine's Day. And I think he did an amazing job for kind of having a tough role in that movie. He did such a good job. And I believe he's in Once Upon a Time. I could be wrong. I've never actually seen the show. But it was definitely like, he caught my eye because the way he acts and the way he handles things are so different and so good. And then after I went and looked up interviews about him, there was one interview where he did different accents, and I thought it was really talented that not only does he have an Irish accent, then he does an English accent, and then he was doing accents like Scottish, and I think he did like a Japanese accent, and I was like, that's really cool, because I can only do English.
It's always so much fun when you see an actor and you see them in an American movie or in a British movie, and then you hear them speak in an interview and they have a completely different accent, and it completely like throws you for a loop, and you're like, you're not the person I thought you were.
That's what I was saying.
I've been lied to.
Yeah.
So first I wanted to mention Cillian Murphy because he has a really awesome Irish name. He was in Batman Begins. He was the Scarecrow in that. But what I know him from is Peaky Blinders, which is a new show that BBC put out, I think, 2 years ago. And it was one of my favorite shows of this year, so I had to mention that. But who I really wanted to talk about is Frank McCourt. He is an author, and he wrote Angela's Ashes. He was originally born in the States, but his entire family was from Ireland, and he moved over there when he was only 4 years old. So he's basically Irish. And what I thought was really great about Frank McCourt, besides his amazing book, was all his sibling names were all really amazing as well. Something interesting about Frank towards the name community is that there is an entire website with Irish names, and you can actually listen to him pronounce the names in his accent. And it's awesome. And something else interesting about the Name Sisters is that I'm pretty sure we all have a little bit of Irish in us, huh?
A wee little bit.
Honestly, even like how his last name sounds, McCourt. I think it sounds very, I don't know, like Celtic-y. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just cute.
No, I always thought, like, could that be a first name? I don't know.
I think so.
I think it could.
And, you know, obviously tons of nicknames. So.
Yeah, who was the guy from MASH who had like an Irish surname as a first name? Remember? He was the first colonel.
People have like Irish surnames as first names now. It's such an interesting trend. Like, what was that name that we saw on the stocking?
And there was a little girl who went by the nickname Mackie, and her full name was McCormick.
Yeah.
I love that. That's nice.
I would like it on a boy. I think that'll be really cool.
I just love Mac names.
Yeah.
Especially the nickname Mackie.
Yeah, isn't that cute? I actually know a guy whose first and middle name is Emery McKenzie. And yeah, so that he has a Mac middle name. Mm-hmm. Yep, and he has 7 siblings. There's tons of cool names in that family.
Elena, why don't you go ahead and share?
Okay, and I do have one.
Literally been talking about forever and ever and ever and ever.
I know. Okay, so before I bring up my person, who, if anybody knows me, they probably already know who I'm going to talk about. But I do want to mention quick that the actress Allison Hannigan has 2 little girls, and her younger daughter is named Kiva, Keeva, and that is the anglicized form of Kiva, which is spelled with a lot of extra letters that are not pronounced phonetically, at least by English words. And I just thought that was really interesting. I think it's really, really pretty, Kiva. It's very similar to Ava, which is popular. But so I am, of course, going to discuss Saoirse Ronan, who is my very, very favorite actress. And just like Jamie Dornan, she is like a master of accents. I think I've seen her use an American accent twice, but otherwise every movie I've seen her in, she's had a different accent, and that's probably been like 5 or 6 different accents I've seen her do, which is just incredible. Like, that's just fascinating me. And then I have watched interviews of her too, and she does have an Irish accent, really beautiful. Yeah, just really pretty accent. And so Saoirse is one of my all-time favorite names, and it's the actual Irish word for freedom, which is just beautiful. I mean, who doesn't like the idea of freedom? And then Ronan, her last name is very Irish. It means little seal, which is adorable. And even her middle name is Una, which it's the anglicized form. And it means lamb, which is sweet too. So she just has a really stinking adorable name. And she's, just gorgeous and talented. And she was actually born in California, but she was raised in Ireland. And yeah, she's really cool.
I have someone that I want to mention really quickly because I absolutely love her name. There is this Irish folk Celtic singer, and her name is Lasarina. We'll put that spelling on the screen because it is a crazy spelling to us who aren't Irish, but I love it. I think it's so pretty, Lasarina. And she's a singer-songwriter, and she's Irish. But the person that I wanted to feature is Clive Staples Lewis, and he's more commonly known as C.S. Lewis. And he is the author of the Narnia books. And he was born in Belfast, Ireland. And he's most famous for being the author of the Narnia books, but he was also an academic and a Christian, and a lot of his books have Christian themes, including the Narnia series. He was very good friends with J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote the Lord of the Rings novels, and I always thought that it would be so interesting if you could like go back in time and sit down and have a conversation with those 2 men, because I can't imagine like a more interesting like dinner time conversation than having a conversation with Tolkien and Lewis. Clive is not an Irish name, it's an English name, and it means lives near the high cliff. And C.S. Lewis, he created or used some really interesting names in his Narnia series, like Prince Caspian, Shasta and Aravis are the main characters from The Horse and His Boy, and Aslan the Lion is a reoccurring character in the Narnia books. So as an author, he used some really, really cool names. So I thought he was a very, very cool Irish person, and not many people know that he's from Ireland. A lot of people think he's English or just from somewhere else in the world. So yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting that he's Irish.
I'd like to know what his parent, like the conversation with his parents of like, oh, not another Irish name. We've got to name something else. Irish names are so common.
Yeah.
That's cute. I love the name Clive. I could totally use that name. It is so handsome. I think it is anyway.
Me too. I love it. So my person that I'm talking about is Conan O'Brien, and yes, he's American, but both of his parents are Irish, and if you look at him, you just know that he's Irish. And he's so hilarious, an improv comedian that's now a talk show host, and he just is so talented and just so funny. And I just love how he's just like, he just seems like himself, and he's just happy to be who he is, and that's really refreshing to see in person. I love the name Conan. Like Ronan, I think Conan has such a really cool sound. It means little wolf or little hound, and it's never been in the top 1,000. And I think it would be a nice freshening of Connor, which is another Irish name, similar to Conan, basically has the same meaning. And Connor has been in the top 100 and top 1,000 for a while. So I would like to see people use Conan more. It's such a nice name, and I just like it.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
Conan's always been one of my favorite names.
All right, so our viewer peeps, we have a question from Anastasia, and she says, "Dear Name Sisters." She didn't say it like that. I'm just interpreting her saying it like that. Dear Name Sisters, greetings from Ontario, Canada. I love your channel and was wondering if you could help me out in one of your upcoming videos. My name is Anastasia and my husband's name is Nicholas. We are currently planning to have a baby and are looking for a name that suits our family unit. For girls, we adore feminine, romantic names that are long, elegant, and have plenty of vowel sounds. For boys, we like long, strong names. For both genders, we like names that aren't common. Our choices so far have been Evangelina, Roman, Evander, Aurora, and Angelina. However, we still aren't set on them. Any help you can provide to help us find a name for our baby would be very much appreciated. With love, Anastasia. Oh, we love you too, Anastasia, and thanks so much for the question. We love talking to all of you guys and gals. I always say guys, but that's just a broad term for gals too. So, I had Guinevere. I thought Guinevere was really, really pretty, and I loved the nickname Gwen for it. And I also thought of Callista. Callista means most beautiful. And I didn't get super long male names, but they're very, very strong. I thought of Ronan and Arthur. I know there's Arthur and Guinevere thing, but those were my names.
I love those names. I love the name Arthur right now. I'm on such a huge Arthur kick. I think it's so handsome.
Yeah,
It's in my top 25. Love it.
Okay, so for Anastasia and Nicholas, I thought that the name Allegra would go really well with their names. It's a name that I've been crushing on really hard. It's an Italian name, and it means joy or lively. It's also a musical name. Another name that I thought would go really well in terms of their naming style is Esperanza. Esperanza is a Spanish name, and it means hope, and I just think it is so beautiful. And another name for a boy that I like for them is Casimir. Casimir is a Polish name, and it means announcing peace, and it's kind of long, but it's still really strong sounding. And then I also had Felix, and Felix is a little shorter, but it's a Latin name, and it means happy, and I just think it is a really strong, great boy's name.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody else noticed, but Nicholas and Anastasia are both very Romanov names. That's immediately what I thought.
I almost went with Tatiana, but I was like, no, that's too.
So my first idea for a girl name, especially because it has lots of vowels in it, is Olesya, Olesya, which is It's a diminutive of Olga, which is of course a Russian name and a Romanov name. Yeah, Alessia is just like insanely gorgeous to me. It's a good Olivia alternative. Has the ultra feminine feel that you seem to like. And another idea I had was Illyria, and Illyria is a literary name, and it has all the vowels again, like you mentioned. It does feel super romantic to me, Illyria. I don't know. It has the same feel as Guinevere to me, personally.
Yes.
And then for boys, two names I have that are both long and strong that go hand in hand are Theophilus and Amadeus. They go hand in hand because they have the same meaning. Amadeus is Latin and Theophilus is Greek, and they both mean love of God. So they have this ultra manly feel to them, but then they have really sweet, just incredible meanings.
I was looking at Amadeus for them too. I was like, that would be a really good pick.
I was looking at Amadeo. That's the first thing that came to my mind was Amadeo. So
Really?
Amadeo, Amadeus.
I really like Amadeus. I always thought like everybody else would just be like Wolfgang.
Well, I love that.
I love Amadeus.
That's a great association, though.
Amadeus is in my top 10 boy names, but
It
Rodney hates it.
It was in my top 10 like a year ago.
Ah, there we go.
I love the Amadeo form because I love names that end in O, and I think it's kind of a little bit stronger sounding. But Amadeus, Amadeo, I mean, they're basically the same name.
Basically.
So I thought that Valentina is probably the most romantic name that I could possibly think of. And it's around the same popularity as Aurora and Angelina that they had on their list. And the other day when I was at Callum's gymnastics class, there was actually a little girl there named Valentina, and I was just like, wow, I haven't heard that name used, even though it's not insanely out there or anything, but it stuck in my mind, and I've been thinking about it, and then I saw that question, and I was like, okay, I have to say that name. And for a boy, I thought that Broderick would be a cool choice. There's actually a really great musician that I listen to called Peter Broderick, and it makes me think of him, and he's really great. So it's a really strong sounding name to me. And also, I thought Atticus might be a good name for them because that's a strong sounding name to me, and it's long.
Yeah, Atticus is a great name.
Yeah. Well, I actually was going to suggest Valentina as one of the names for them, so it's funny you had that one as well. But one of the girls' names I had was Genevieve, which is a French name that means tribe-woman and it's ranked at number 219, which can seem kind of popular, but when you think about it, not as many babies are named that. Like, it seems popular, but not a whole ton of babies are named, like, Genevieve. And for me, Genevieve just reminds me of a princess or a very proper, elegant, like, girl or lady. And then for boys, I had Maximus. First thing that comes to mind when I hear Maximus is, like, this strong soldier or sometimes even a prince, but I just, like, it screams strong. The meaning of Maximus is actually greatest in Latin, so that's pretty cool. And I like the nickname, like, Max. I feel like Max is a name many people like, and then you have Maximus, which just makes it, like, stronger and even more lovable.
I like how Maximus is like Nicholas, and then it's 3 syllables and ends in the S.
Mm-hmm.
Nice tie.
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that.
Thanks so much for watching our 8th episode with us, and we love you guys. Comment below, find us on Facebook, on our website. There's some awesome, fun things happening on our website right now. Kind of all of us Name Sisters are kind of doing a mom interview series where we're finding moms on Facebook who have awesomely named children, and so we're excited to chat with them, with people and real moms who aren't necessarily in the name community but obviously have a heart for names. So that's happening there, and so we'll see you next month. Bye.
Okay, but what is really interesting, that we all have Irish in us.
Good Let's do this. We all got a little bit of Irishness. There we go.
Elena, do it.